What's up, guys? We got some more cards to go over here. So let's start with Brain Freeze, which is a dual class card for Mage and Rogue, a 1 mana spell that freezes a minion and has combo, also deal 3 damage to it. So this card's really good, but at the same time, I don't think you actually run this in either Mage or Rogue. It is a card that you're going to be happy to get randomly, but you're not going to actually put into your deck because you don't really want this taking a whole slot in your 30 card deck. So getting it randomly through like Cyclone Mage or Evocation, Evocation happening would be great, or Rogue generating this off of lackeys or any other way they generate spells for their class. Like you're gonna be happy to get these cheap things that you could dump from your hand. With the Sorcerer's Apprentice, this is 0 mana, but again, it doesn't really deserve a spot in your actual deck because you'd rather have Freeze Ray as Mage, right? For that consistent freeze. 2 spells in 1 seems a little bit better. And in Rogue, while freeze is great and the combo effect is fantastic, I'd rather just run different spells like an Eviz or some backstabs. So great card. Does it actually fit in either deck? No. Are you gonna be happy to see this in your hand? Yes. Are you gonna be happy to get this off a magic trick? Absolutely. So I'm gonna give this 3 stars because it's a great card, but you don't actually want to run it in anything. Like if you're playing a freeze mage or something, like you'd rather run Frostbolt, I think, for 1 extra mana to guarantee that you don't really need that combo effect, and then you'd rather just run Freeze Rays, Frost Rays, whatever they're called, just so you consistently get 2 freezes. We got Speaker Gidra here, dual class legendary for Druid and Shaman, 3 mana 1/4 with the Rush, Wind Fury, and Spell Burst. Gain attack and health equal to the spell's mana cost. So I don't think you got to get too greedy with this thing. Maybe you end up just using it with a Witch's Brew, for example. This ends up getting +2/+2. That's pretty solid. It has Rush and Wind Fury. It'll become a 3 mana 3/6, or I guess a 5 mana 3/6 at that point. But who's actually going to use just 1 Witch's Brew? I'm just thinking of a cheap spell here. With something like, I don't know, a Lava Burst or a Rock Biter, you're going to get a lot of attack on this thing. Now that's just looking at the Shaman side. On the Druid side, there are a lot of good spells that you want to use, such as like even just using this with a Wrath or something. Like that's going to be great. Or my god, on turn 8, if you end up using this with like a Glowfly Swarm, even your Glowfly Swarm, you aren't expecting it. And obviously your Glowfly Swarm would not take up all your slots, right? This would be massive. You get +5/+5 and it's going to have Rush and Wind Fury. So that's a big deal. It's a threat that needs to be dealt with, and it demands respect. Even if you might just play this on turn 3 and not immediately get the Spell Burst value. If your opponent doesn't deal with it, follow up on turn 4 with a 4 mana spell, I don't know, Overgrowth or something like that, and then it's going to be a massive minion doing 10 damage to your opponent's board. So really nice card here, very flexible. Rush and Wind Fury is insane. I think this card would be great even without the Wind Fury, honestly, or without the Rush, like one or the other. I don't think it really needed both, but I think this is a 4-star card. We got Argent Braggart here, a 2 mana 1/1 Paladin. Epic card with the battle cry, gain attack and health to match the highest in the battlefield. This card is insane. I think it's very, very good. Paladin's shaping up to look quite solid, I would say. Like this combined with the new spell that gives it Divine Shield and makes it copy. I don't really care about the copy too much. I care about the Divine Shield. So you can steal your opponent's minion essentially and then give it Divine Shield. That's very, very good. So maybe your opponent spends, 7-8 mana creating a large minion, and then you just use this, you copy those stats for 2 mana, and then you could throw Divine Shield on it, or you don't even have to do the Divine Shield, man. It's still really good just as a 2 mana copy the stats of whatever your opponent played, right? They spent 4, 5, 6 mana developing a minion. You spend 2 getting the exact same minion and then doing other things on your same turn. It's a very reactive card. It is not proactive at all, so I'd see it as more defensive, I guess. You're probably not going to run this in like an aggro deck, but you don't even have to get greedy. It doesn't have to be on a huge minion. Maybe your opponent plays a 3/4, a spider tank body, and you spend 2 mana copying that spider tank body. Pretty solid for 2 mana. Maybe it's just a 3/3. Getting a 2 mana 3/3 is great. Sometimes it's going to be a 2/3 or a 2/2, and it's totally fine. That's on the low end. On the high end, it could be a 2 mana 8/8, a 2 mana 12/12, stuff like that. So very, very good card. I think this is going to be a staple in all Paladin decks that are not aggro. So obviously you're not going to run this in like a Murloc Paladin or anything like that. But in control-y, slower Libram, this goes straight into pure, I would say. I think this is a 5-star card. Yeah, this card is great. It's going to see a lot of play. I'm going to make sure I got 2 of these. We got Educated Elekk here, a 3 mana 3/4 beast. Whenever a spell is played, this minion remembers it. Death Rattle, shuffle the spells into your deck. So whenever a spell is played, not just your spells, your opponent's spells as well. I think this card is fun and exciting, and in a way it's anti-fatigue. This current meta doesn't really seem to go to fatigue, so and if you are going to fatigue, you're still going to lose against things like Galakrond Priest, so I don't think you actually want this. Plus, putting cards in your deck that are not really cohesive with your deck is not something you want to do. You don't want to be putting, your opponent's evises, backstabs, brain freezes in your deck if you're playing, I don't know, Libram Paladin or something like that, right? You don't want that stuff really diluting your draws. So the only time I ever see this being played is in fatigue, and at that point I feel like there are better cards that you can run. Where I could see this being good is if it only remembered your spells. That'd be great. So then if you're running, we'll go back to Libram Paladin, if you play some Justice, some Hope, some Wisdom, some Hand of Adol, you would be happy to get those back in your deck, right? Those are great cards. But taking your opponent's crap that goes with their game plan and not with your game plan and putting that in your deck, diluting your draws, is not something you want to do. So this card is very flavorful, very, very exciting, very fun, and maybe we'll get some nice memery going on with it. I think this is actually a 1 or 2 stars. One of the worst cards, or at least viable, that I think we've seen from what they've revealed so far. All right, let's go to Potion of Illusion, a mage and rogue card here for 4 mana. Add 1/1 copies of your minions to your hand. They cost 1. Is there some sort of combo here we could do with Sorcerer's Apprentice? I don't know. I'm just thinking of this now. I didn't think of this earlier. What if you do like Sorcerer's Apprentice, Potion of Illusion? That takes 6 of your mana. You get 2 more apprentices back. You could play those. Maybe you have an evocation in hand and you just pop off. I don't know. That might be fun. Anyways, is this card actually viable? I don't know. It's hard to think of the possibilities of this thing. If you're running some sort of Death Rattle Rogue, I imagine you can get a lot of value out of this. It is quite expensive at that 4 mana, but let's say you Anka. You get a bunch of Death Rattle minions in your hand that are 1 mana 1/1s now. It's turn 6, maybe you play a couple of them, and then you just play a Potion of Illusion. I think this would get a ton of value from that. It is quite situational, like you'd have to play the Anka, discount the cards, play those cards, or you just have to stick a Death Rattle minion from a previous turn. That could be promising, right? Could be pretty good. Like I imagine Mage trying to stick this with Archmage Antonidas, getting a 1/1 copy of that would be absolutely insane. Getting this off of Kalecgos would be insane, because you play Kalecgos, you do this, you get a 1 mana 1/1 of Kalecgos back in your hand, you get to discover another spell, and it only costs 1 the next turn. That's going to be incredibly swingy. Yeah, this card is actually really good. It's going to be pretty useless against aggro, but getting some mad value for the late game, you might want to run this. Yeah, I actually like this the more I think of it. There's a lot of different ways you can use this. I mean, as Rogue, also just hitting a few minions with this thing, getting like an Edwin back in your hand and a couple other minions that are 1-mana 1/1s, those are gonna make a massive eddy. If you hit this on 3 minions, yeah, that's gonna be pretty insane. Your opponent not clearing your Togwaggle and you following up with a Potion of Illusion, or not clearing your Kronks. Pretty bonkers, man. Actually, a really good card. I think this is 4 stars. It's super slow, but it has so much value. I really like Potion of Illusion. All right, Professor Slate, a 3-mana 3/4 hunter legendary. Your spells are poisonous. I think this card is absolutely insane. This is the first pure hunter card that we have seen. Every other one has been like dual class. So really interesting the direction they're going with this. I feel like they are strengthening spell hunter quite a bit. So I think the main thing everyone's gonna go for here is the twin spell rapid fire for comboing with this guy, and I think that's a fantastic card, right? Deals 1 damage. And then you get the other one in hand, you could deal 1 damage again, and if those aren't going face, you can use those to clear a minion. So what else does this really combo with? I guess what you got: Corrosive Breath, you got Kill Command, and Kill Command becoming a 3-mana kill anything with this. That's pretty good. This supposedly won't really work with hounds, right? It'll summon the hounds, but it's not going to make the hounds poison because the spell is summoning beasts. The spell itself doesn't actually hit anything, so I won't apply that poison. So like Animal Companion, it's not like your Huffer is going to have poison or anything like that. But back to the rapid fire shenanigans. I think rapid fire is fantastic. I don't think you really want to run this in a Highlander deck because you won't have enough rapid fires, or maybe they introduce more spells that can hit minions. Maybe that would make this, or just cheap spells, I guess in general, would make this card a lot better. But for right now, I could see this being run in some sort of Verisa Hunter, which is exciting to me. Running a couple copies of Rapid Fire, maybe a couple copies of Corrosive Breath, some dragons, a Verisa, and yeah, maybe those Rapid Fires go face for 3 damage after you Verisa, or maybe you just use them with Slate and remove some minions. I'm not really sure the direction of Hunter as of yet, because this is the only card that we have seen that is pure Hunter, so it's hard to make a judgment on it. But I think this card is very good, and as more expansions come out, this is gonna be even better. Or maybe this means that they're not gonna print many more spells, cheap spells for Hunter. But I'm oh gosh, I would say this is like 4.5 stars. I'm gonna give it 4 stars, almost 5. But again, we don't know the direction of Hunter, and we don't have that many cheap spells. Like obviously this would work with Explosive Trap, but who the hell is not gonna clear a Professor Slate before hitting your face if they see an explosive, or they just see a random secret on the board? We got Instructor Fireheart, a 3-mana 3/3 shaman legendary with battle cry. Discover a spell that costs 1 or more. If you play it this turn, repeat this effect. I'm super happy they put it on spells that cost 1 or more, because at 0 mana or just any spell, it could have found that new Innervate card, and this thing just could have constantly popped off. Obviously, you can use this with like lightning bolts and stuff like that. Do a bunch of damage to your opponent's face on turn 10. That's 7 times 3. That's 21 damage. Probably not going to happen. But, you know, if you're good enough, I guess it will. But you don't need to get too greedy with this card. You could just discover the spell on the turn you play this, hold on to it for a following turn. Maybe you just play this on 3 and you know your opponent's going to be an aggro deck, and you pocket Hagatha's Scheme to start building up those charges, right? Or maybe it's turn 6, you know, next turn you're going to have 7 mana. You want to try and fish for an Earthquake for the following turn. Or maybe you pick up a Witch's Brew because you know you're going to need some healing later on. Very flexible card. Fantastic to play on turn 3 and not get value from its effect. Fantastic to play on turn 10 and get a ton of value from its effect. So I think this card is going to see a lot of play in any shaman, really. I think you play this in aggro shaman. I think you play this in a mid-range, a control shaman. I think this card is absolutely insane. If you're a shaman player, you're gonna want to craft this thing. I think it'll see a ton of play until it rotates out because of that flexibility. Solid bod. If it was a 3/4, my god, this thing would be really busted. As it is, I would lean towards a 5. I would say like a 4.5 to 5. I'm gonna give it 5 here. I would say like a 4.6, 4.7. What does it matter? I'll give it 5 stars. One of the best cards I think that we've seen from the set, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun too, which definitely helps quite a bit. So I think that's everything, right? Is that everything? Let me refresh. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's it. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. What do you get? A 3, a 4, a 5, a 2, a 4. And a 4 and a 5. My god, wait, what? Am I being too generous here? Perhaps I'm being too generous. Again, I think they show better cards up front to kind of hype people up about the power level. And then once they do the final reveal dump, which is when? In 26 hours of me recording this, that's when they're going to just slip these crappy filler cards in, right? And everyone's going to be like, well, maybe ignoring those cards, but they're also going to be like filler. They're gonna be filler. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, hit that thumbs up. I'll be doing more reviews, and can't wait for the mega reveal, and the actual expansion is gonna be a great time. So good luck on ladder and stay hydrated.